session on education now. May I request all the esteemed panel members to come on the dais, please. May I request Mr. Ishan Gupta to please. Mr. Krishna Kumar, Mr. Nishant Patni, Mr. Pankaj Sethi, Mr. Udai Singh, and Mr. Zishaan. May I request Mr. Ishan to please
Good afternoon. My name is Ishan. I run Edukart. Thanks for taking out time to being here. We have a great panel today. And I know this is the post-lunch dreaded time slot that we have been given. But the choice was between getting this slot or the next slot. But the next slot we have to compete with this women in entrepreneurs breakout panel at the same time, and I thought beating lunch lethargy might be easier than beating women in entrepreneur panel. So let's go with this one. And coffee you can still figure out, but beating women is difficult. So thank you for being here. Why don't we do this? You know, I want to introduce all of these gentlemen, but instead of that, just to save time, if we can go around the room, and you can give a quick introduction and what you do, and then we take it from there. So Udai, we can start with.
Hi everyone, my name is Udai. I head strategy for NIIT and I also drive some of our key initiatives, including all the work we're doing in the online space.
Hi, my name is Zishaan. I run Topper.com, a learning platform for middle school and high school students. So 5th standard onwards to 12th standard.
Hello everyone, my name is Krishna. I run a company called Simplilearn.com. We are in the business of reskilling and upskilling professionals in emerging technologies like digital marketing, big data, and so on.
Hi guys, I am Nishant. I am the CEO and founder of Culture Rally. Our flagship app, Hello English, is the #1 educational app in India on Google Play. It helps Indians learn basic conversational English from 15 different vernacular languages. That's what we do.
My name is Pankaj Sethi and I represent EduGuild, that is India's first EdTech accelerator. I'm a director in the company and my role involves setting together the accelerator program, driving it and bringing companies on board. So this is based out of Pune. It is backed by NIIT group, which has several colleges, 65, 70 odd colleges. We finished the first selection of five companies that we have taken after filtering through almost 200 companies from which applications. And I think that's the good news, is that we actually got so many applications which we did not foresee that we would get from education companies. Thank you.
Great. So before we go further, just a quick, how many of how much of our audience is already in the education sector? Quick show of hands. Okay, great. And how many entrepreneurs in here? Okay. Do we have a mic? Okay. Before we go further, wanted also to understand if there are any specific questions that are on your mind, so that at some panel we can address those. And this is again just to get everyone out of post-lunch lazy scenario. But any specific questions that, yeah, please. Okay.
But when you go below the surface, you know, what actually is happening, and have we seen data around improve just to dig beneath, dig low on personalized learning.
Okay, sure. Definitely going to that.
In fact, I would also like to know how the internet and the education industry is, together, because the usage of internet rural is not much, while our education products aim towards tier 2 and tier 3 sectors, where children want to learn through digital education. So I have this question.
Okay, now that we are free of free basics, we can figure out that easier. Okay, what else? Please.
Hi, my name is Pranay. Will we be seeing education startups in the rural sectors also, where people are lacking basic knowledge and basic education? So, will we be seeing startups in that core area and the rural sectors?
Great. I actually have someone who's sitting in the audience who probably is much better grasp of answering that question. I'll get him to answer that question for you. That's like a bonus beyond this panel. Who else?
Hey, hi, this is Yashwant. So globally, monetization in EduTech has been a big challenge. How do you see that scenario playing out in India, and you know maybe initially how are you planning to sort of focus on monetization as well?
Okay, maybe one last. Okay, thank you so much. I think you have a good list of questions. So maybe why don't we start with you? And since you're running an action, you can go all around. But what are the sort of the new opportunities that you are seeing in the sector? What is it that gets you excited in the sector?
So what I've seen of companies, this will help answer one of the couple of the questions that are coming in, is I'm seeing more and more an environment where leave aside the learning in school, which is the asset heavy kind of learning. If we take something that happens outside of that, then the devices that are in the hands of currently will tend to be mobile devices in the hands of their parents. So if I'm talking about English learning, it will probably happen on the go. It will probably happen on devices that already exist. So the early models that people who are coming up with ideas is of learning that can happen, which is augmented by learning by devices that they currently already hold in their hands. There's another batch of learning that is being attempted by handing devices into hands of students in classrooms, and there the development that is happening on lower end devices actually make this happen is useful. So there are two segments I'm pointing towards. One is devices which you actually take and hand into the hands so as to enable them either with existing content or for content subsequently loaded onto that, and in parallel I think there's a whole lot of education outside of that which is for people who need to develop themselves further, and models of that we can see in parallel. It's nice to see the school part also happening. Otherwise, I had given it up based on digital boards that were too expensive to maintain. But some midpoint models are emerging where we have inexpensive devices that can enable students in this way.
Sure. So the
for us, it's actually a mix of mobility, which is certainly, you know, the the highest growth opportunity that we see in India, and vernacular. So we are in the intersection of both of these things. We are a purely mobile led learning app. It's purely Android based, and we help sort of 15 different language speakers to get over this hitch of speaking basic conversational English, and beyond that. So for us, it will be those two things as I see as big opportunities.
Krishna, opportunities that you are seeing in the sector?
So I heard the questions that some of you have asked, and I was surprised to see that a lot of you are trying to solve problems which are like next level of problems, like for example, consumption or mobile, like how Edu Tech sector is going to impact rural areas. But there are a lot of low-hanging items that can be grabbed. Like, for example, what Simplilearn does. Like, I think we are one of the largest EdTech player in the country. We actually make money, so we are not the free training providers like Coursera's of the world. Is that there are like lot of training currently happens in classroom, right? And there is no reason why adults like us or professionals like us should go to a classroom to learn new technologies. It's so easy to like learn at your own convenience online, right? And technology has also evolved a lot now. Bandwidth is good. You can interact with expert side, talk to him, get your queries clarified, go through a structured learning content. So this appears to me like a very low hanging problem to be solved. And when we compare with the volume of training that is happening online in these kind of areas compared to what is happening in classroom, that's like very minute percentage. It's not even 1% of the overall training spend that goes there. I think that I see as a big opportunity, and this is only going to increase because the way technology is changing in our day-to-day life. You have to keep yourself updated. All of us has to reskill ourselves time to time. I think in overall EdTech sector, there are not many players who have come, and the primary thing that we should look, that we should benchmark education in technology is like compare what is happening in a classroom and how a part of it can be taken online. And first, let's fix that problem and then go to the next level of going to mobile and other areas.
Ishan, one area of opportunity.
Organization. So actually, I wanted to talk about the rural part first. Panel that I
I
go
can just
to
leave
our
the panel and go out and you can just discuss whatever. No, please.
yeah. So you know, people are fascinated about what's happening in rural. Rural में क्या हो रहा है? Rural में कैसे पहुंच जाएंगे? इंटरनेट ही नहीं है. I'm like, forget rural. People will figure out how to take it there. You know, just don't build for rural. Don't optimize for rural. Do anything. Just build for a customer, and people will automatically take it rural. For example, we've never optimized for rural. We've never thought about rural. Rural is not on our agenda at all. But let me give you some stats. 55% of our traffic is already from. Our click to sign up ratio is 3 times higher for areas compared to metros because you don't have other alternatives in rural. Obviously, our customers are already rural. We have not optimized. So I'd say to education, stop optimizing for rural and start optimizing for your customer, and they'll figure out a way to get there. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, the opportunity is everywhere. NIIT is a rare company that's in the, I think, in all three areas: school children, and undergraduate students and fresh graduates, and then work professionals. And in fact, there is very stiff competition internally between these three businesses for funding because the opportunities are literally limitless. I think part of that, particularly in our country, is unfortunately the misery of our education system, which leaves a lot to be, and therefore there is opportunity to correct and to plug the gaps. The other thing in my 25 years at NIIT I've learned is that it's not about the technology. Every 2 years or 3 years, there is the great process of a fantastic new technology that will come and solve every problem. It is not about the technology. It is about learning. It's about the learner.
Great. So, coming to monetization, and Ishan, we can start with you. Like, if you can tell a little bit about your model and what else do you think is working or not working in hashtag edtech
Okay.
space.
Yeah. So we were inspired by Simplilearn to monetize day one. So yeah, we started with a monetized model from day one. It's a freemium model where 98% of the users use for free, but 2% of the users pay. It was important to keep it a monetized model because I feel, after 2.5
1.5 years of building Topper, our journey would have been different if we built a free product right from day go and said we'll monetize it later. So that was the first thing that we did. And then the second part is people are willing to pay, and our assumptions of how they want to pay are really funny. So we started off with offering our package at like 1,500 to 2,000 rupees, but we never gave any discounts or anything, and barely any people bought. They were not willing to buy. You know, we had a few sales, but not enough. We increased the price to 5,000 rupees and started offering 25% discount. Like, our sales tripled. Our sales like quadrupled, and it was like bizarre. So my ASP graph for this year is like it went from 1,500, 1,600 rupees in Jan to 4,500 December. I don't get it. I mean, people are fascinated by discounts, and I think people also value higher price product is more valuable. So that was one learning around pricing. The second learning is, you know, we always assumed interaction, and it's the easier thing to do. So web interactive models, Android app, etc., easy to do, and people will buy that because you know you anyways have data connectivity problems. People actually want to buy video packages. So we launched a video package at 20,000 rupees, and people want to buy video packages. I don't get it. You don't have the data, you don't have the connectivity to see videos, but you want to pay 20,000 for video, but don't want to pay 5,000 for the web interactive product. So I've been challenged twice about my assumptions around pricing in 1 year. I don't know how many more assumptions are there to be busted. So I'd say we have immense ability to pay. Building a price product is always great, but keep challenging your assumptions and go for the non-obvious stuff.
So question there. So if they buy that video product at 20,000, they don't use it. They just leave it.
They use it, but you know what I'm saying is a web interactive product is way more easier to use than a video product, right? That's my assumption. So I would assume that video product should sell much less than a web interactive product, but
It's a lazy aspect. You have a video, let it run. Then you don't have to interact with it in any way. Probably have not to go forward with it.
Nishant, are you guys also charging your customers?
No, so the app actually.
Because your Tiger funded, is that the reason?
So we do monetize, but in a different way. So
Monetize कर लेते हैं.
yeah, बिल्कुल कर लेते हैं.
Okay.
So what happens is, because it's such a mass market product, our monetization strategy is slightly different. We have about 10 million or so users who use the product in India and around. And so the way this works is through ad-based monetization on the content that we host on the app. And then we work with businesses who want to customize the experience for their use cases, right? And those are sort of priced at obviously at a much higher premium, wherein the entire English learning gets customized to their use case. So whatever Salesforce, the language that they have to go out use to sell their products, etc. Those we do for businesses, and those are priced, and that's sort of helps us monetize and fix the gap.
And those are great. So we signed up Ola as a partner to deliver, like to get their drivers involved for the courses. One of the requirements out was around English, right? That they want the drivers to get like the basic set of English. They said that we just need 100 phrases, but we need them really well. Right. So I'm guessing there are a lot of
similar thoughts. Yeah. So because it is app-led, it helps like distributed learning, etc. So that's how we monetize.
And Krishna, you are known for monetizing. So what has been your monetization strategy, and maybe how has it evolved? And maybe you can contrast it with US versus India, if there are any differences. Or
I think Ishan has figured it out, our model. So I think from day one, our philosophy has been that if you offer anything free, it's not valid, right? So like technically anything that you want to learn, you can always go to YouTube, find the content. But we charge because we provide you validated, structured content which is like current. Especially in emerging technologies, you need to ensure that you are learning which is current stuff. You are not learning something which is old. So we have always seen people are ready to pay as long as the value proposition is clear. And when we sell, as I was telling you earlier also, you always benchmark with the classroom. That if you go to a classroom to learn the same thing, you pay X. We are asking you to pay a fraction of X with a guarantee also that this works. If you are not satisfied, take your money back. So that has been one of our good policies that we have rigorously implemented from day one. That if you go through our training program online, and if you are not satisfied, within 7 days, no question asked, you can take your money back. And we have seen very few people abusing this policy, as it is expected. A lot of people abuse it, but we have not seen. There are some people, but I think that's like been a negligible percentage. The difference between US and India has been that in India, since uh, our programs are targeted towards working professionals, the reason they go for our kind of training program because they want to switch their jobs, so they don't go and talk about it within their organization. But in US, most of the companies have reskilling and upskilling budgets, so people typically go and get it reimbursed. So their price is even not a challenge. Their more challenge is about, are you a credible provider? So we have not seen pricing related issues ever. I think the market is way too huge. And to answer one of his question on people are not monetizing, there are people monetizing. Now look at lynda.com. They just published their quarterly result about 2 days back. They're already more than $200 million in annual revenue, just selling digital content. They are not even into live class business. They are only into selling video content online.
No, it makes sense, and I completely buy that point, right? If you put the money back guarantee in India, one feels that it will be abused and over abused, and you're actually really pleasantly surprised that that is not the case. You'll find few people in between, but most people, if you give them a good product, they are not coming back and taking their money
Just
back.
make a point on that. It goes like this: that there are large amount of consumption that we see is free in many other industries and businesses, including education. You say that people don't value that adequately, and I'm going to give an example. I'm a teacher with the art of living, just Shri Ravi Shankar. So we provide courses to people for personal improvement, for looking at themselves, and basically to end up with stress relief. So often we ask Guruji, why don't we price them at zero value? Because finally, if we are out as volunteers to do something humanitarian, it can be a zero value, and his answer is the same. He says we have to price it something, some small amount has to be taken, because that's sincerity of the person, and his commitment for what he is coming in with is determined if he makes a commitment. Otherwise, he will come and by second day he might go away from there because he's mentally not done something with it. So we charge a certain amount in Mumbai, but even when we charge in lower levels and grassroots level, we charge something, with the exception of when we go into slum areas and just do stuff for women or for farmers in a certain way. There we charge almost nothing.
I want to jump onto personalized learning once, and I mean, do you guys have a platform that adapts to every learner and is personalized learning? And if yes, how? What are the learnings?
Sure. So we don't have, I mean, so I think the question was on adaptive learning, which is sort of completely adaptive adaptive learning obviously has several layers in which there's a whole bunch of AI work that's happening around that. What we have is personalized learning in the sense that it is self-paced. The app sort of determines where the user, based on his speaking styles, abilities, etc., where is it that he should be starting from? It sort of puts together, it curates a package for that individual. But then that's about it. I mean, what we don't do yet is sort of get into the advanced AI levels of adaptation, in the sense that we memorize him every sort of week, 10 days, etc. That's not something that we do. And I mean, for us, the learnings on that is that so we assumed at the beginning that people would not value it, in the sense that because it's a vernacular audience, it's a highly rural sort of an audience that we service, people would not even understand what personalized learning is, what self-paced learning is, etc. But we were, stats sort of showed us like a high level of engagement once we started to educate them about these benefits, on how each of them can learn basis their learning requirements and their routine. The engagement levels really jump through the roof. So people do value such things, and as I said, we are sort of working constantly to improve that experience when it comes to personalization and when it comes to intelligent adaptation.
Got it. And Udai, what's happening in NIIT around personalized learning, and any specific part of the business looking at it?
Yes, so there two, three things. One is for a lot of our corporate customers, they want training to be efficient. At the end of the day, it's an investment in the employees. They want more bang for the buck. So one level of personalization is just adequately assessing people, their entry point, so that then you can optimize the amount of time that they have to spend, which also means that the content development strategy has to be highly modular, and so that there are literally nuggets of knowledge and skills that can be pieced together. But I would agree that the true promise of adaptive learning is a long way away. It requires fundamental work in artificial intelligence, etc. But an element of personalization so that you can optimize the time and effort. Certainly, that's something that we're doing.
Zishaan, your top selling category would be what? JEE? Prep?
11th and 12th, yeah.
11 to 12. So is there any element of personalized learning
So
there?
our platform is completely adaptive. It was built from day one as an adaptive platform. In fact, so we wrote the code first and then built the content for it, and that's why we had the luxury of making it completely adaptive. So when we wrote our first product, the minimum number of questions we needed to launch it was 40,000. So the product determined how much content you needed. So then we went and spent another 7 months to get that much content and fit it to the product. And right now we've organized 500,000 learning pieces. So questions, solutions, hints, everything. So we've organized 500,000 learning pieces. And there's no way a student can exhaust all of these in 1 year of his, curriculum. So it has to be adaptive. It's completely what you see, what you and I see in our first go is same, but after 15 questions, it becomes adaptive. It is adaptive at a 3-question level. Every 3 questions, it returns a new set of questions based on your previous input.
In the first batch at EduGuild, I mean, did you see a lot of stuff around personalized learning, or
I didn't see a lot of companies coming up with personalization as an element that they would go through. They came across most models. If I can even use the word adaptive, it was probably with one company which is currently come onto our batch, which basically saying that somebody needs to improve their skills in different ways, but that skill improvement has to be done on an individualized basis and cannot be done as a blanket thing, and therefore his learning must be altered by judging and assessing both his capabilities as well as his performance over time. So they're working their way towards that. But I did in once out of 200 companies, I may have seen like 4 or 5 that were thinking in that way. The rest of them were like coming up with one product fit all kind of attitude.
got it? I want to switch tracks for a minute to non-edtech and just education, as Udai nicely put that technologies will keep on coming, right? But it's learning. And sort of bring in the rural to it also, since that was kind of asked a couple of times. Udai, any NIIT doing anything specific for rural areas or anything around the horizon?
One, we've done a lot over the years. 2 or 3 things. One is that we tend to believe that high tech is required for the more educated customer. But I think our experiments have shown that some of the best technology needs to go to the most challenged learners. One of the things that NIIT has been doing as a long-term endeavor is the self-directed learning systems. So what we call our playground learning stations. These are completely independent. They have no instructor. They're put around schools and community centers. We've done a 5-year project in Bhutan where there are about 150 of these learning stations all over the country, where actually there is no school or a teacher. And because it was done over a long-term period, we could actually assess the impact that it has made around communities where such a facility was provided versus those that didn't. The second area is again doing remote delivery. The challenge is that instructors want to move towards metro locations where better job opportunities are there, but the learners can't follow them. But the technology can bring the instructor to the learners. And therefore we see significant usage of technology to deliver perhaps live education to remote schools, from wherever the teachers are available. So these are two very specific areas. The third thing that we've done, earlier this year is something called NIIT TV, which is our way of, enabling people to learn by benefiting from things that are already happening in our classrooms. And NIIT TV is meant to be free, and it's just designed for very easy access on a mobile phone or a tablet.
And talking to Rahul earlier, he said that there's a lot of people coming from outside India, right? There's a lot of African audience, and
yeah, surprisingly, we've made no effort to market it or publicize it over there. But because of the NIIT retail education brand, it seems to have caught on, and almost 30% of the users are from outside India.
So as I promised, Dilip, I want to just bring you into the conversation. Dilip is the man behind Skill Development, National Skill Development Corporation. Dilip, in your... Thank you so much, Udai. Education in rural areas, what did you see? Did something exciting come towards the last few months in using EdTech in rural areas, or was it mostly brick and mortar stuff?
So, thanks, Ishan, for this. And I was just wanting to keep quiet and listen. But let me just bust 2 or 3 myths. There's a greater hunger, which I think two of the panelists mentioned, in rural India for such products. And they're willing to pay. And they have the ability to pay. But what fascinated me in this discussion, and I want to bring out another context, is that typically when you talk of EdTech, you talk of delivering courses to beat an exam or to study for an exam. But there is much more in EdTech than just curriculum and teaching. There's assessment, there's mobilization, there are virtual labs, and I think people have not even touched or scratched the surface of the opportunity in this space. So, if you just think, very interesting, you'll find a whole new opportunity. Adaptive learning, and this is funded to companies who are actually doing it, and corporates are using them much more, but schools are getting into it. And as the entrance exam thing starts, and you have common entrance exams and all of that, then you will go from one day, one exam to any time, any exam like GMAT. That's the next wave that's going to come into India, and that's going to actually get rural India on the bandwagon. So there's a huge lot of opportunity in this space, and I agree with both Krishna and Zishaan that you've got to monetize it from day one. And people are willing to pay. And there is no lack of connectivity. People find ways to get connectivity. They find very innovative solutions. You have mobile phones working in some areas that don't have electricity, and charging batteries and giving it to mobile phone owners has become a business. And for education, it's become twice the business. People are actually doing that. You're finding now people renting tablets. There's a business renting tablets and renting bandwidth to people who want to learn, and people are paying for it. So it's a huge new opportunity there, and thanks for the opportunity.
No, I completely agree. In fact, the mobilization part that you know, the mobilization part you talked about, I mean, our as a marketplace, that's exactly what our model is, right? We bring in multiple course providers on the platform, right? right? So we have Topper, we have Simplilearn, then we also have K-12 stuff, right? We have open universities. And one thing that has fascinated us is a lot of our users are also coming from tier 3 cities, from rural areas. So there is a guy sitting in Tamil Nadu in a village enrolling for a Tamil Nadu Open University course through us instead of going directly, because he's sitting 600 kilometers away from Chennai, right? Like, there is no way for him to go there. So he would rather come online. And that is mobilization, right? It's getting more students. And with so much of fragmentation, right? People also want choice, right? I mean, they may be the leading PMP providers, but there are students who come and say we want a physical class. Somebody say we want a live class. Somebody says we want a tablet, right? So there are a lot of choices that people want, and as you start going inside the country in the interior, the choices become even more, sort of stringent, that I want this versus I want that, and they'll only take one kind of thing. So there's a lot happening.
In which people are delivering how to conduct your class next day online, and the teacher actually looks at it at night. I'm sure you guys have caught on who's doing it, but that's a new business. How do teachers actually connect? And then you don't need to have, the phonographic teacher, okay, who memorizes content and reproduces it, is going to disappear. And you guys are going to make that happen. That's exactly the future. It's totally different. And it's not 5 years into the future. Possibly not even 5 months into the future.
Agreed. So next, just in, yeah, please.
What I think is interesting from Dilip's point is, on the one side, there's very deep learnings from each of your sub-segments in education. When he starts to talk about a broader overview, there's two questions that I think would be interesting. Ishan, one is you talked about where your customers are coming from, but you're also able to see different products. And so what products are you seeing have the maximum interest, in how those trends are changing? And likewise, Pankaj, I think you're seeing, you said 200 companies. What are the buckets in which those kind of companies, are they assessment, are they labs, can you give us like a top-down feel for what we're seeing in the ecosystem beyond the individual companies?
First, I was feeling only the panelists are going to throw me out of the moderator position. Now I have... No, absolutely. I can take the first shot on that. So, I mean, this question gets asked by our right? And I have to just bring the NDA into picture and sort of step back. But I think it's phenomenal to see how it is changing over the last 2 years. We started in 2011, we became a marketplace in 2013. The rise of digital marketing as a category, right? The course. I mean, it is, we see that because we have been we have been selling a digital marketing course since 2011. Today we have 80 plus different courses of digital marketing, right? Right from a 300 rupee course to a 2 lakh rupee course, and there are takers for all of them for different kind of courses, right? And that's a reflection of the working professional's mindset that he or she wants to do something in digital marketing at some point in their career, right? So that category is growing. The PMP, CAPM, Prince, to these all, I mean, these keep on, they are always there and they will continue to be there, right? You work for a few years in supply chain operations, you want to do one of those courses, right? In test prep, we are seeing people saying, I have taken a full-time Vidya Mandir program or a Akash program, but I want to do more at home. I want to do a test series from home. I want to do personalized learning from home, right? There are also guys who are saying, parents who are saying, we don't want to send our child outside, right? Can we do something at home? And in fact, take a test series offline just to give a feel of a, real world test, right? So I think a lot is happening on that front, and new trends are emerging in formal education, in distance programs. Working professionals have started to prefer online delivery of content if it is there. I mean, there's a much larger regulatory issue underlining that, but still, wherever some online delivery is possible, it is interesting. And I'll give you an example. 4 years back, we launched an online MBA, which had books with it. And we pitched it as an online MBA program, and we got, let's say, X inquiries, X by Y users, right? We at that time then switched the marketing to saying distance MBA, books provided with online content as addition. And the inquiries jumped 3-4 times. But this was 4 years back. Right? So we actually changed the online MBA with books to distance MBA with online content, sort of putting online as a value add thing. 6 months back, we stopped books in the program. And we said online MBA again, and we said if you want to buy books, it is 3,000 rupees extra, because we started realizing that people were we could save costs there, and people were more interested in online content. So I think the market has also moved over the last 3-4 years, and I think that and all these companies that have gotten the fancy of the investors and have been scaling up, probably the result of that sort of uptake in student population around online delivery and content.
Yes, so this is my first experience at looking at 200 odd companies, and the outcome was that largely they ended up falling into buckets of what they're seeing in the market. So they ended up falling into buckets of saying that I will do online tuition as one example, or they get into buckets of having seen several other iconic successes. They come up with some spin of exam preparation, or finding another model that many people are trying to chase up was helping people to find adequate universities or subsequent education options for themselves. So in our view, I myself was in a dilemma. It goes like this, that if I take companies that are currently working, 5 companies working on the same business model and others existing in the market, should I be even looking at that particular space? So in the 5 companies currently that we have taken on board, I'm glad to say that we have managed to take them in distinctly different segments. So somebody was talking about, I think Dilip was talking about interactive laboratories as a requirement, virtual labs in places which cannot afford or sustain to have such laboratories. So I was very pleased to find one tech-strong company which had one of its business models. It's a very good company with technology in augmented and virtual reality and stuff like that. And one of the areas they was addressing was, hey, what am I going to do about engineering colleges that don't have adequate amount of laboratory support for them? That was a good company. Then the definition of edtech by itself, I mean, apart from these 3 areas, personally, I think that one of the big things that we are seeing around us is the desire to improve on an individual basis and the desire to improve for my child. And that necessarily is not within curriculum. It is outside of curriculum as well. And amongst our working people, we see it all the time, right? I need to go up, I need to struggle up. It's a self-driven motivation. I need to climb up higher, get assessments, get certifications, grow further. And even if I'm not getting certifications and assessments, the new area of liberal education is also creeping into our lives. On the other side, the students, the parents are saying, I want my guy to get better. Whatever stuff he's doing in class, I agree with the exams. I'm willing to let him learn something else. So I'm calling that as extracurricular learning, which we are seeing. You know, take him out for tennis, take him out for swimming, take him for dance, but what about the learning part of it? So those are the two areas. And the third is when we say ed tech, we seem to think it's only about education and learning, but there are also enablement layers which are currently not in the system. A simple area which sits as ed fintech, which is the enablement of the school system to manage itself, for instance, would be one layer to handle. And the other layer to handle would be teacher-parent relationships and the communication. Because getting into the school entirely at one shot may be one thing, but to find platforms where you start the entry and then work your way up into further that can be done. So I thought fintech would be one beginning area to make an entry on, and the other would be parent-teacher communication, on top of which you can then start probably selling other stuff. I saw some companies doing that, and in my own definition of edtech, I said this is edtech also. It's not distant from edtech, because finally, if I have to do homework, if I have to give assessments, if I have to do stuff for individual children, personalizing it also, how am I supposed to do it unless I have an interaction system?
So I want to open it to the audience again. If there are any specific questions, please. Sure.
Yeah, hi. Why is education loan still a nightmare, inside India? Say a guy who is poor and he wants higher education, or say if he wants some education through online medium. If he wants to apply in a bank or something, it's still a very, tough process. So being education, experts, do you think that we should, you should do something to, help education loan thing becoming easier?
I can give you a very short, and then I can open it to someone else. We try to get for programs that are less than 100,000 rupees. We found it almost impossible for any bank to give a education loan, and we felt that they were most open to give loans when there was a very concrete degree coming at the end of the program, so that they could leverage that as sort of a collateral in some ways or the other. But that's what, my view was. They wants to add something.
I think, that's exactly an edtech business that can be built. Why people are not giving loans is because they can't assess and they don't have the ability to do a KYC or assess the risk potential. Although technically an education loan is supposed to be collateral free, and if you can develop an online process,
They end up taking collaterals for the.
if you can develop an online process by which you can actually do it and help banks to do it, is another totally another business, which is which is
There is a business idea for those
and,
who
and
want.
you know one of the entities that you know NSDC had funded was Millap, which is doing crowdsourcing of fundings to give loans to kids. So there are many solutions that you can look at, and it's an open world.
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am Ashish from It's Cash. My question to the panel is: how you target customers, client, or a student who who don't have any payment instrument like debit card, credit card, or who don't want to use their payment instrument online because of trust factor.
Krishna, any experience on that?
So we used to do it earlier, like used to collect in cash. Then as our volume became big, it became a nightmare, like managing cash at our end. So I think some point in time we discontinued it, but there are a lot of other players who do not have that kind of volume. They still collect cash and manage it with that.
I believe in rural areas, people don't have any debit card or a lesser amount. So how you target rural areas?
Actually, that is an assumption that rural area people do not have debit card, right?
But they don't want to use it because of trust factor, I believe. And I believe only 5% of the India having use those debit card or credit
Actually,
cards.
like my perception is that I'm not an expert in that area. Is that internet companies like Amazon, Flipkart, and Snapdeal have done enough work to tell everybody that it is reliable now. So I think this was a problem maybe a couple of years down the line. People are not believing it online. But now I've seen even tier 4, tier 5 places also people buying diapers online, right? Where it is same thing is available online because they said it comes back quite to even go to 1 kilometer away and buy it from a shop. So I think that problem India has solved it right now. Everybody believes that online is a reliable medium. You can buy it's more reliable than our local kirana shop, right? They come and collect also to refund the stuff. So I don't think that is a problem anymore to be.
So we definitely never lose customers because of an ability for them not to be able to pay. I mean, COD still exists, right? So there's a lot of, I mean, most pin codes are, if really that's a problem, we'll do COD. So we used to have COD also for the longest time. And then we just took a call of stopping that. And business hasn't gotten affected at all. I mean, people figure out a way to pay. If they like, if they need, if they want the product, if they need the product, and education is typically need than want, they'll figure out a way to get the money to the business. I don't think we lose customers because of that. So, question for you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so I happen to be a digital marketing trainer myself, and I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. And as you rightly said, there are 80 companies which are listed on your platform and growing, and everybody's making good money
I
out
don't know
of
if everybody is growing, but they're 80 listed.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good point to make. So, but let's say some of them are growing and doing well,
Sure.
and the pricing of all these courses are also going up.
Yeah.
So we recently started something called Digital Defined, where we're trying to make a community-based learning sharing platform. It started with digital marketing, and then we might do more things. My question here is that you have things like Udacity coming up. Not coming up, they've been there for a while now. And Flipkart recently also announced that it will be accepting nano degrees. How long before something like this starts working in India, wherein courses are free and you pay for just the degree?
Great question.
By the way, Udacity is not free. It is $200 per month. So to get a nano degree, you need to spend at least 3 to 5 months, which is like makes it $1,000 program. There are others like Coursera of the world which are free, but they are again targeted for the students. But Udacity is a paid model.
No, the course is free. If you want the degree, you have to pay
Flipkart is
for it.
accepting the course for nano degree.
My question is, learning should be free, right?
Should be
My-
कुछ होता ही नहीं है ना, मतलब you can
See, my question simply put is that by when do you think Indians will be happy to accept that yes, I am learning and I am growing, and I don't need a degree or a certification to prove my worth to somebody?
This problem, I don't think it is India specific problem. This is a global global problem, right? You need some, like, let's say I am the hiring manager and I get 200 applicants. All criteria are same, and I have time to meet only 20 of them. How do I shortlist? In India, like, either we go by the degrees that you have, then everybody has engineering degree, then we will look at who is from the top, say, 10 engineering colleges and so on. So this is a problem of scale, right? We need some kind of criteria to eliminate when we have a lot of people applying for something that is limited. So I don't think in foreseeable future this is going to go away.
So degree is just one of the signaling factors factors. Even if you take an hypothesis that the degree will not exist, then there will be some other signaling factor that will come out. And yes, maybe degree should not be the all factor. And sometimes my blood boils when I see companies saying MBA definitely required in a role. Makes no sense. But the is right. I sometimes feel that when we open a position at our stage, we get 1,000 applications. I don't know what happens when NIIT opens up a position, how many resumes come in. What does the poor HR guy does? Not that he should only go by degree, but it's primarily a signaling issue. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I am Pranjal from competitionbuzz.com. I'd like to follow up with that payment gateway question. Some of the payment gateways like PayU require, you need to register for that to make the transaction. A customer needs to do that. So does this hamper your conversion rates? Like for registering your credit card, if you pay via credit card, so if you use normal CC Avenue gateway, you do not have to register. You can directly make the payments. And if you do it via PayU, you have to register yourself on PayU, and then you have to pay. Right. So does this hamper the conversion rates?
But the looks
it's one-time registration.
I have R Tech guy. Is that a problem? That
Exactly.
yeah. So
That's
again,
once in your life. I mean,
it's
across all sites that you plan to
Yeah.
transact on.
That's once in. But what about the customer? Like, if you go to rural areas, they have. I use credit cards online, but I have this fear. Right?
that
I
question
still
is
have
the
this
financial inclusion panel. Unfortunately, this is beyond this question. I have to strike down. It's beyond the scope of this panel. बड़े सारे पेमेंट गेटवे लगाओ, जो कस्टमर को यूज करना है उसे करने दो, पैसे अकाउंट में आने चाहिए, उसके बाद रिकंसाइल कर लो. I think that's the ability to.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to the panel now and quickly I want from each one of you one challenge in the EdTech industry. Short answer, one challenge.
First, so based on all the companies that are seen, one large challenge that we see in front of us is anybody who's trying to make an entry into schools or colleges as trying to make a B2B institutional entry is like a mind-numbing feature. We ourselves tell them if you're going in that direction, no, that is really, really tough. So figure out somebody. I mean, if you want us to leverage you, we have lots of 65-watt colleges of our own, but it's really a big challenge.
I'll put a plug in there. If you want a B2B business, get Dr. Sunil Karad and NIIT behind you.
To a point.
Open up
But
schools.
still, the challenge is enormous. Enormous.
Got it. Nishant, one challenge.
Yeah, so I mean, I would actually slightly disagree with the panel over here, and I do believe that internet, etc., is still a challenge for the audience that we serve. We've tried to sort of create a product which serves, which sort of reduces the challenges of the internet to a large extent. But still, for us to go to the, you know, the real heartlands of India, internet is still a challenge.
Number one app in the country in the education space and internet is the challenge for Nishant. Awesome.
To scale further,
Scale
beyond
further,
1
yes.
crore, 5 crore.
Next term sheet from Pixel has to come.
So the biggest challenge that I see in tech sector is that we have not been, at least in India, we have not been able to attract good amount of investment. Because to build any new industry, you require a lot of money flowing in to talk about that. Look, this is the industry that is worth investing in. It's a big challenge that people are trying to solve, and that's how the overall market increases. So, like, and putting to Dilip's point of mobilization, right? How do you mobilize more and more people? You go and educate more and more people about, look, this is a credible and reliable option that you can look at it.
It's really interesting. Most top apps says internet is a problem. Most funded edtech company in the country says that funding is a problem.
It's relative, right? It's relative to.
I don't get it. Zishaan, like, what is NIIT will say just having scale is a problem? Like, what? Zishaan, what?
No, my problem is distribution. So I agree with culturally. So, yeah, distribution. Our app hasn't reached as many people as we'd like it to.
That's what we keep on telling investors. You need a marketplace to help people reach more people. Oh, there was the big problem. No problem.
I think the one problem that we continue to deal with is building content that's outcome based and competency based. A lot of courses are just coverage and delivery focused, but how do you actually deliver what the learner came for?
This is again, right? A company that has probably the most content repository in town has the content problem. Great. We'll again open up any specific questions. Yeah, please.
startup venture called Apps Daily, and we are into offline distribution of mobile apps across 10,000 stores across India. Now, what I wanted to understand is while we've talked about digital education and edtech, where does edtech play a role in accreditation of the syllabus or the content that it actually trains its customers on? So, for example, a CBSE accredited digital course. If that is something that you could crack, I think that could be another headway in this space.
So Udai, I mean, NIIT pioneered the whole accreditation model through GNIIT. I mean, any thoughts?
I don't think that's really an issue. I mean, our entire school's content, for example, is based on the NCERT syllabus. Many government agencies, unless they have a specific mandate, will shy away from validating and accrediting it. But that's really not an issue. So the specs, I mean, CBSE, for example, has model test papers for class 10. So you can easily work backwards from there. And we work very closely with schools. So I really don't think that's an issue. However, if you look at the National Skills Qualification Framework and the roadmap for that, one of the very strong positions that the government has taken, that at a certain point in time, I think December 2016, for government jobs, they must come along with, what's the skill level and what is called the qualification pack. And therefore, if you're going to train for those, you better be compliant. Eventually, unlike, in many other countries, you can't do certain roles unless you have a certification. You can't be an electrician or a plumber, or so many other jobs. I think given the mismatch between labor available and jobs on the other hand, that's going to take some time, but the intent is clearly there. And at that stage, vocational training providers, independent training providers will have to meet those guidelines.
Okay, I started with Krishna, and less than 3 words, okay? One thing that you think investors look for in an edtech business specifically?
I think is your ability to make money.
It's execution.
Yeah.
Zishaan?
Right now, I think they are looking at market size.
Market size?
Yeah, I agree with Ishan. Scalability.
And as an accelerator, the most important thing,
One,
one.
look at
Laundry list to pata hai. One.
possibly real dream.
Okay. And as a scale company, when you're looking at acquisitions, sort of one thing that you are looking for for NIIT today.
I think the intrinsic profitability of the model.
Okay. And so, maybe I'll start with Zishaan this time. Zishaan, one, have I already? No, I have challenge.
You asked the challenge.
Why I already asked? So I'm out of questions at that point. Then, please go ahead.
So basically, I run a school in my hometown, which is a tier 3, tier 4 like area. Yeah.
So this is my question to Mr. Udai. You are creating a lot of content for schools. There are a lot of products that you have created for schools, and you're working very actively with schools. One problem that we constantly face is the availability of good teachers. So the question is basically, do you see or foresee that the content, or the virtual classes replacing on-ground teachers going forward? And if no, then what is the solution towards this problem?
Absolutely not. I think that's a fallacy. The teacher has multiple roles, of which delivering content monotonously in the classroom is the worst. And like Dr. Sugata Mitra once said, those who are afraid of being replaced by technology will get replaced. The teacher is a mentor. The teacher creates an atmosphere of learning, allows, facilitates collaboration, and so on and so forth. Having said that, we're never going to have enough teachers. It's not the most sought after profession, and it needs a certain level of passion and commitment. Therefore, I see technology as being a force multiplier of enabling the same teacher who today can impact 30 students, enabling them to impact 300 or 3,000. How we put that technology to use, therefore, can be a big differentiator. At NIIT, we have done extensive work in teacher training, and that's something that we continue to do. But I definitely see the future school features and a lot of technology to create, much better learning outcomes.
Sorry, we'll be out of time, so you cannot take it offline. One final question from each one of you. Your most favorite edtech company, and please, I don't want to answer the company sitting on the panel, outside this panel. Your most favorite edtech companies, and also by the time it comes to you, no repeat.
I find that difficult to answer because one of the companies in my life that I would have liked to set up would have been in the space of language learning, and there's already one on the panel that is so strong. But it's the appropriate thing why English, definitely Mandarin.
No, I need one name.
I can't. Not
Okay.
pass. I'll come to it at the
Pass.
end.
Okay.
Let's see
Pass.
what
I'm
people
not
say.
coming back then. Nishant.
So international companies are allowed.
Any company allowed. At this point.
I think one app which I'm really in love with is Elevate. It's about brain training. So it's about constant learning and evolving your brain. That's something I'm in love with.
Okay. Krishna.
I'll also pass this question.
Come on, yeah.
Duolingo is pretty good. Then I learn. I think at my stage I learned the most from Wikipedia.
I just took away my answer. So edX, I love what they're doing.
Great. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful panel.